Across 3 continents, armies fell before one man, a king who never lost a single battle. His enemies called him a storm. His soldiers called him invincible. History calls him Alexander. But how did a 20-year-old king defeat massive empires and remain undefeated his entire life? His story begins in Macedonia, where a child was raised not as a prince, but as destiny itself. From his mother Olympias, he learned he descended from gods. From his father, the art of war.
At just 13, he received a teacher unlike any other, Aristotle, the mind that shaped the world.
Aristotle taught him strategy, diplomacy, and science, knowledge that would one day conquer kingdoms. At 10-year-old, he tamed the wild horse Bucephalus, proving courage far beyond his age.
Watching his son, King Philip declared, "My boy, Macedonia is far too small for you."
Years later, destiny struck. Philip II was assassinated, and 20-year-old Alexander became king overnight.
Rebellions erupted instantly. Greece rose against him, believing the young king too weak to rule.
But Alexander responded like a lightning bolt, marching his army at impossible speed to crush resistance. He destroyed the city of Thebes completely, leaving only ruins, an unforgettable message to all of Greece. With rebellion crushed, Alexander united Greece and prepared for his true target, the Persian Empire.
Persia was the greatest superpower on earth, with armies far larger than anything Alexander commanded.
But Alexander believed victory did not belong to the largest army, only to the smartest commander.
In 334 BC, he crossed the Hellespont with just 40,000 men, stepping into Asia for conquest.
At the Granicus River, he faced Persian forces far larger, but attacked with fearless precision.
While Persians expected hesitation, Alexander struck their flank directly, breaking their formation instantly.
Crushed and stunned, Persia realized a terrifying truth. The young king was unlike any enemy before. Victory at Granicus opened Asia to him. But Persia still believed Alexander's success was only luck.
At Issus, Darius III personally led a massive army to crush the young Macedonian king.
Outnumbered and surrounded, Alexander responded with pure brilliance, striking directly at Darius himself.
When Darius fled the battlefield, his army collapsed. Persia saw their king run for his life. Alexander captured Darius's family but treated them with honor, earning respect instead of fear.
This act shocked Persia. Conquerors usually humiliated captives. Alexander chose dignity and strategy combined.
He pushed forward, reaching Egypt, where people welcomed him as a liberator, not an invader.
In Egypt, he founded the city of Alexandria, destined to become one of the world's greatest centers. But Persia was not finished. Darius gathered an enormous army for a final, decisive confrontation. At Gaugamela, Alexander faced forces several times larger. His men expected annihilation. He expected victory.
He used a brilliant angled formation, drawing Persians out of position before striking their weak point. Then Alexander charged straight at Darius, shattering the center and throwing the Persian king into panic.
Darius fled once again, but this time, his empire collapsed with him. Persia was finished. Instead of destroying Persian culture, Alexander embraced it, merging Greek and Eastern worlds into one. He married Darius's daughter and encouraged his generals to take Persian wives to unite both peoples. With Persia under his rule, Alexander turned east, toward the mysterious lands of India.
Crossing the Hindu Kush, his army battled freezing winds, starvation, and deadly mountain terrain.
In India, he faced King Porus, a fearless ruler commanding massive war elephants and elite warriors. The Battle of Hydaspes became Alexander's bloodiest fight, pushing him harder than any enemy before.
Yet Alexander adapted instantly, using the river's chaos to outmaneuver Porus and break his forces.
Porus fought with unmatched courage. Impressed, Alexander asked how he wished to be treated.
Porus replied, "As a king." Alexander honored him, granting more land than he previously ruled.
But this moment defined Alexander. Defeat your enemy's army, but win your enemy's heart afterward.
But his troops were exhausted. After years of endless marching, they refused to go farther east. At the Hyphasis River, his army begged to return home. Alexander resisted, but finally agreed. He turned back, leading his men through the deadly Gedrosian desert, a choice many would not survive. Thousands died crossing the unforgiving sands, yet Alexander marched on foot to share their suffering.
When they finally reached Persia again, Alexander rebuilt cities and rewarded his loyal survivors. In Babylon, he planned new conquests, Arabia, possibly even Rome. His ambition remained limitless.
But destiny struck. Alexander fell ill after a night of feasting and collapsed with burning fever.
Doctors were helpless. His illness worsened every day, leaving him unable to speak or stand.
Rumors spread, poison, betrayal, divine punishment. But modern theories suggest a fatal infection or stroke.
On June 11th, 323 BC, Alexander the Great died. He was only 32 years old.
Without their leader, his generals split the empire, each claiming pieces of the vast territory.
Yet even divided, Alexander's influence lived on in cities, cultures, languages, and military strategy. He founded more than 70 cities, spread Greek knowledge across continents, and reshaped the ancient world.
But above all, he proved that brilliance, discipline, and imagination could defeat armies 10 times larger.
Alexander never lost because he combined intelligence, speed, risk, and psychological warfare flawlessly.
To this day, he remains the ultimate symbol of ambition, the conqueror whom even time couldn't defeat.
Alexander's the Great tactics are still studied today, from military academies da Era da Antiguidade to strategic think tanks worldwide.
His oblique attacks, rapid flanking, and psychological pressure changed warfare forever.
Unlike other conquerors, he fought on the front lines, sharing danger with the men he commanded.
This inspired loyalty beyond fear. His soldiers would follow him to the ends of the earth.
He rewarded bravery, respected cultures, and believed greatness required both strength and understanding.
This philosophy allowed him to unite people, not just conquer them, and build a world without borders.
But his success came at great cost. Thousands died, cities burned, and empires crumbled. His journey from Greece to India spanned over 20,000 miles, an unimaginable feat for ancient armies.
From lightning charges to feigned retreats, he mastered unpredictability, his greatest weapon.
Alexander's charisma was equally powerful. Soldiers said his presence alone could change the course of battle.
He knew every soldier by name, rewarded them personally, and shared their hardships without hesitation.
In return, they believed he carried divine favor, that fate itself protected him in every battle.
Legends spread that he was chosen by gods, destined to reshape the world forever.
Yet Alexander believed destiny meant nothing without willpower, and he had more than any man alive.
He once said, "There is nothing impossible to the man who will try." and he proved it.
His empire stretched from Egypt to India, uniting distant cultures under a single, unprecedented vision.
But despite his enormous achievements, he remained driven by curiosity, hunger, and relentless ambition. But despite his enormous achievements, he remained driven by curiosity, hunger, and relentless ambition.
He wanted the world to be connected, enlightened, and capable of greatness beyond old limitations. In the end, Alexander's true legacy wasn't his empire, but the world he inspired.
Even centuries after his death, leaders studied Alexander's methods, hoping to replicate his unmatched success.
Julius Caesar wept at his statue, lamenting he had achieved nothing compared to Alexander.
Napoleon carried books about Alexander everywhere, calling him the greatest commander to ever live. Across the ancient world, commanders analyzed Alexander's campaigns, using his tactics to shape their own armies.
But beyond strategy, Alexander's curiosity and love of knowledge fueled the world's first cultural fusion.
In Alexandria, scholars of every land gathered, building a center of learning unmatched in the ancient world.
Science, astronomy, mathematics, and philosophy all flourished under the environment his empire created.
Through conquest, he unintentionally sparked one of history's greatest exchanges of ideas.
Greek language spread across Asia, allowing distant civilizations to communicate, trade, and collaborate. His vision extended beyond borders. He imagined a world where unity triumphed over division.
And yet, despite his achievements, Alexander remained haunted by the limits of mortality.
He pushed himself relentlessly, believing every day without progress was a day wasted.
He once said, "I would rather excel others in knowledge than in power."
To him, greatness meant more than victory. It meant shaping a world that could outlive him. And in many ways, he succeeded. His influence echoed for millennia through cultures and empires.
His life became legend, half history, half myth, entirely unforgettable.
Yet behind the legend was a man, driven, flawed, relentless, brilliant, and painfully human. He loved deeply, fought fiercely, and dreamed beyond any horizon his world had ever known.
And though his empire crumbled, his ideas survived, reshaping history long after the swords fell silent.
In the end, Alexander proved that true power lies not in conquest, but in transformation.
Alexander's legacy remains unmatched, shaping leaders, cultures, and ideas across more than 2,000 years. His victories were not accidents. They were the result of discipline, innovation, and unbreakable will. And though his empire faded, his impact became immortal, echoing through language, science, warfare, and philosophy. Thousands of years later, the world is still asking the same question: how did he never lose? The answer lies not in his armies, but in his mind. A mind that saw opportunities everywhere.
He adapted faster, moved quicker, and thought deeper than every enemy who dared stand before him.
Alexander didn't simply fight battles. He shaped them, bent them, and ultimately mastered them. And that is why history remembers him not just as a conqueror, but as a visionary.
A man whose ambition outlived his body, and whose ideas outlived his era.
He never lost a battle because he never stopped learning, adapting, or believing in the impossible.
In the end, Alexander the Great conquered something far greater than lands. He conquered time. And that is why, Even today, the world still whispers his name, Alexander the Great.